Hello there and welcome to today's video. In today's video we've got a little experiment to see which football manager wants to place all the Premier League teams. We'll go through all of the English League from Premier League to Sky Bet League 2. I haven't loaded any other leagues just for the speed of the system. We don't have the best computer in the world, but we have an updated database, so players. Let's just go on the Premier League, for instance. So let's choose a team that's actually made transfers. Let's choose Man United, for example. They do have Mateus Cunha. These are all of the transfers from the 14th of July, I believe. So it's a couple of days ago, but it's still good. Obviously, Jadon Sancho, if I can find him, has come back to Manchester United. He hasn't got proper dates, but he does have a couple of other good things. But it does have all the teams as well. And even players in the under 18s, like JJ Gabriel, who is 14 years old. So anyway, we are going through all the transfers. This is updated as much as they can. And if you would like to play this database yourself, I'll leave a link in the description. Anyway, let's go through a season and then see where everyone ends up. Right, one thing I did forget to mention earlier is that all the managers and teams that have been promoted and relegated all go through it. So people like, I can't think of anyone. Any new managers? Let's just go on Tottenham, for example. They have who's a Brentford manager? Jesus. Can't think of his name right now, which is a little bit annoying. Anyway, let's just go on to the Premier League, see where they're going at the moment. Liverpool 4th in the league. Chelsea are currently top. 46 games, well, 20 games played. Decided to come back on the 1st of January. Most people have played 20 games. Liverpool have played 19. There's a couple like Tottenham and Fulham that have played 21. So Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal and Liverpool made the top 4, with Man United, Newcastle and Tottenham going through that as well. Also, any team that are not in Europe for this season coming on in Europe anyway. The Sunderland, Leeds, and who else was it that went up? Burnley. I keep forgetting about Burnley. Anyway, Sunderland do have 6 points, so it's kind of expected. Wolves without Mateus Cunha and Ryan Aït-Nouri are doing not too bad. Very rare leads to the clean sheets. Let's go through the Chelsea squad. See what schedule they've had. Let's go through the Champions League in a minute. They did beat Man United there. Only 5 losses. Villa in the Carabao Cup quarter-final. Newcastle in the league. Barcelona, you kind of expect that in the Champions League. And Man City there. They did start off with a loss. And they're still top of the league. That is kind of crazy. 2-1 loss to Brighton. That's a little bit shocking. Raheem Sterling is back at Chelsea. That's not exactly surprising. Anyway, don't think there's many shocks in there. I think Burnley being out of the relegation zone is pretty shocking. Everton being towards the bottom in their new stadium, that's kind of to be expected. Let's look at goals. Danny Welbeck's up there. Christopher Nkunku's top at the moment. Gabriel Jesus with 8, along with Salah, Son. Whistler's got 8. Joshua Zirkzee from Man United has got 7. Marcus Rashford, who's still at United, has 7. Erling Haaland's going a bit slow, 6. Same as Jeremy Doku. One Gibbs White's doing pretty good. Ollie Watkins is a little bit slow. Only the 7. Whistler's doing pretty good. Let's go on clean sheets. David Raya's got 12 in 20 games, which is pretty good. Andre Onana's got 9. And Bindy's got 3. Media's only got 3 as well. Robert Sanchez, 5. For a team that's top of the league, that's not even great. Alisson's got 8. I guess is the top couple. Jurgensen, which is probably why Robert Sanchez hasn't got many. He's got 10. So they've got 15 clean sheets just by themselves. Which, if put together, is definitely got more than David Araya's 12 at the moment. 10 in 21 is decent for Tottenham, especially with how many United and Tottenham have finished. Anyway, Jason Steele's got a 5 at Brighton. Burnley. James Trafford's got 3. And Brentford's replacement for Mark Flecken. Hakon Ruffen Valdemarson. Gonna be honest, don't know how to pronounce that, let alone do anything else. So good top assist. Enzo Fernandez looks like he's leading the side with Matoma, Norgard, Florian Wirtz is right in front of you. It's got a couple, not quite the price tag worth. Danny Welbeck's got 5 as well. Danny Welbeck's probably the standout player in this. Ryan Yates has got a couple. Jack Grealish has got 4. Actually plays for Man City. João Felix has got 4 as well. Patrick Roberts doing decent. Dwight McDale's doing decent for a team in the relegation zone. Obviously the usual suspects. Martin Odegaard. And stuff like this. Has there been any manager movements? Oliver Glasner was sacked on the 9th of December. And Vitor Pereira has been replaced by Sergio Conceição, who was at Porto. Guess that's pretty realistic. Paddy McCarthy, caretaker manager. I was about to say, I don't recognise him. Anyway, I guess we'll have a look at the Championship. Wrexham, after their promotion, not doing too good in the relegation zone. Won't go through all the stats on here. But if you do want any more details, feel free to put in the comments and I will go back through it. Hull City doing pretty good. Sheffield United not doing as good as they wanted to after losing out in the playoffs. Leicester and Southampton, Ipswich doing pretty good as you would expect. Bristol City just outside the playoffs. They'll be looking to get into the playoffs again. Maybe do a little bit better than they did against Sheffield United in the playoffs. Let's look at League One. Cardiff doing pretty good. Leading the league. Luton's second as well. They went down as well, along with Plymouth. All 3 teams going down and doing pretty good. Exeter mid-table. And Peterborough in the relegation zone. Northampton with 15 points as well. Charlton, bottom of League Championship. Then go have a quick look at League 2. Salford City, who have playoff ambitions. 21st, so wouldn't be surprised if anyone gets sacked from there. Walsall, who lost the playoffs, are in 5th, so they're putting a decent effort. Second season. Let's go Champions League. Liverpool. How do you even look at Champions League? It is done on group stages at the moment just because the Football Manager is hard-coded, so you don't get the league phase until the second season. Bayern and Liverpool getting out of Group A. Any shocks? PSG winning their group pretty easily. It's pretty expected. Tottenham getting through their Champions League group. Atletico Bilbao getting 3rd in that one, going down to the Europa League. How do I do this again? I've just lost it there. Group D, Barcelona and Chelsea. Bayer Leverkusen, they've really dropped off since Xabi Alonso and Florian Wirtz have left. Can actually say it this time. Group E, any shocks here? Newcastle dropping out. A pretty close group between them 3. Club Brugge didn't really have any chance. Group F, Man City and Real Madrid. That's pretty good. For Marseille to get 7 points, that's pretty good for them. Still Europa League space for them. Group G, Arsenal and Benfica. Monaco almost did it. Juventus finishing bottom of the group. That's pretty mad. And in Group H, Borussia Dortmund and Sturm Graz going through. Galatasaray and Rangers on 7 points. A very close group besides Dortmund. Let's go Europa League. In Group A, Crystal Palace in their first season in Europe, topping their group against Porto, Midtjylland and Go Ahead Eagles. Porto are a decent side, so getting above them is pretty good. Lille, Roma getting through against Panathinaikos and Genk. RB Salzburg, Partizan and Freiburg getting through with Partizan and Lecce. I think it's a Polish side. A couple of the fixtures at the bottom if you are missing any. Vigo and Feyenoord going through. I don't know where Kiev going. Bottom of the group is a bit shocking for me. Aston Villa topping their group with Olympic Lyon going through them, with Celtic just missing out. Ajax and Wolfsberger getting through with Olympiacos and Bodo Glimt missing out on this one. In Group G is Bologna and Nice. Copenhagen finishing bottom. It was really bargy. That's a little bit sad as they did get a draw against Bologna, but still not enough to get anything except bottom of the group. And in Group H, Real Betis topping their group. Got second. Let's look at transfers. Obviously, some of these might be the ones that have come through already. Martin Zubimendi going from Real Betis to Liverpool for 51 million. Looks like he's going to Arsenal in real life. Don't really recognise too many of these. Jan Bagnaret going from Southampton to Newcastle at 26 million. All in, that's a bit crazy. Any other big ones? Not really. Couple loans. No, really, any big transfers? Not really. I think I saw a couple of the free transfers. Angel Gomez going to Burnley, of all people. Kyle Walker-Peters going to Tottenham. Arsenal, sorry, a former Tottenham player. Angus Gunn, of all people, going to Tottenham. Edin Dzeko, former Man City player, going to Arsenal. Pablo Sarabia, formerly of Wolves, going to Newcastle. Ben Mee is back at Newcastle. Burnley, sorry. Doesn't look like any other big ones. Man United signing Juan Foyth and Gianluca Mancini. I guess that's pretty expected. 2 centre backs, which don't really think they need, but sure. Instead of signing Jeremy Frimpong, they've signed Giovanni Di Lorenzo from Napoli. Didn't see that one coming. Been decent for them though. Anyway, let's go to the end of the season. There are a couple of insecure jobs, including Graham Potter at West Ham, Phil Poggins at Wrexham, Emma Hayes, former Chelsea manager, at Rotherham, and then a couple lower league ones as well, along with the Ireland manager. Right then, gone to the end of the season. Looks like a couple big things have happened. Manchester United have qualified for the Champions League, Tottenham for the Conference League, Aston Villa for Europa League, but Ruben Amorim has lost his job, along with Sheffield United boss. Middlesbrough have already sacked their manager. So Daniel Farker has not done that good of a job at Leeds. Tom Cleverley as insecure at Plymouth Argyle. But let's go over to the Premier League. Looks like Manchester United got 66 points. I think they'd be pretty happy with that. Sunderland getting a pretty decent points, getting at 25. Leeds and Everton making up the bottom three. Looks like Burnley stopped the rot and got this. It looks like Burnley stopped the rot of Championship teams getting promoted, then going straight back down to stay up just 1 point above Everton. Wolves finishing just above the relegation zone for the season quite again. Fulham getting a little bit lower of a position than you would have expected. Crystal Palace and their Europa League place cost them the 14th position. Brighton just missing out on Europa Conference League. Tottenham getting 53 points. Finishing, what was it, 15th or 16th and then 9th. So pretty good for them. Manchester City ended up winning the league, 2 points ahead of Liverpool, who were winning it at the start. Chelsea and Arsenal getting 3rd and 4th. Newcastle getting 5th. And then Aston Villa getting that Europa League spot. Let's look at top goal scorers. Christopher Nkunku for Chelsea getting 20. Calvert-Lewin getting 19 but still getting relegated is kind of crazy. Florian Wirtz getting 16 is not too bad for his first season. Erling Haaland getting 15. Pretty low for his stats, along with Mo Salah getting 13. Pablo Sarabia is one of the players to look out for, getting 15. I'm pretty sure he's pretty high in the assists as well. Martinelli getting 14, which is pretty good. Don't see Bukayo Saka anywhere. Just anywhere, full stop. Heung-min Son getting 12, that's decent as well. No Man United player on here either. Daniel Marlin getting 12. Marko Arnautovic for Fulham getting 12. Darwin Núñez getting 11. Let's go to assists. Enzo Fernandez finishing top with Florian Wirtz getting 12 each. Bruno Fernandes third with 10 assists, carrying United as usual. Phil Foden, Martin Odegaard joint 5th. Matoma, Dwight McNeil pretty good. Apologies, I did think Pablo Sarabia got some assists. Maybe I was just looking at something else. Let's go into clean sheets then. David Raya finishing with 19. Jorgensen with 17. Andre Onana getting 12, which is pretty good for them. Dean Henderson getting 9. Binder getting 7 as well. 7 in 12 games, which is pretty good. At the bottom, Kelleher for Brentford got 5. Momajashvili got 4. Ilya Mazier did get relegated, but did have 6 anyway. Jason Steele 7. Vicario got 10, which is pretty good in that Tottenham side. Alisson joint 2nd. Just the gap between Raya, Jorgensen and Alisson, and then there's just Onana. And then it's pretty good from there. Anyway, let's go towards the Championship. Hull City beating Southampton in the final of the playoffs. That's pretty crazy. Bristol City just missed out on the playoffs. Sheffield United definitely not doing whatever they wanted to do after finishing in the playoff final. Last time finishing 10th. Wrexham and all their money in the Championship couldn't keep them up, getting about 10 points below a decent Blackburn side. And then Birmingham City, the other team with a lot of money, getting just above the relegation zone. I think they'll be pretty happy with that. Middlesbrough getting 13th after sacking Michael Carrick after getting him in the playoffs. Victor Johansson, a goalkeeper for Stoke City, getting the top player of the match. Ben Brereton Diaz, top scorer of the Championship. And George Hurst Who else was decent? Paul Mullen getting 13 in the championship. Be surprised if that happens in real life. Clean sheets. Aaron Ramsdale stayed at Southampton and got 19. Arthur Okonkwo got 13 for Wrexham. That's pretty weird for a team that went down. 13 goals, 13 clean sheets. Josh Christopher S. Brom getting 15. Looks like Swansea, Millwall and Ipswich didn't keep many clean sheets. And let's go down the leagues. Over to League One, where Huddersfield Town beat AFC Wimbledon in the playoffs to get them back to the championship. Luton and Cardiff joining them. Stockport finishing third. Plymouth, after getting relegated, finishing 9th. Exeter, Rotherham, Peterborough and Northampton all going down. Exeter went mid-table, which is kind of crazy. Going down with just 3 points less than Bradford City, who did get promoted, I believe. Anyway, over to League 2, Oldham Athletic beating Crawley Town in the playoff final. To Oldham Athletic finishing 7th and then getting promoted. Walsall making the playoffs again, didn't quite make it up this time either. Colchester and Fleetwood, along with Notts County, making up the top 3. Barrow and Barnet move over to the National League, and Salford did pick themselves up a little bit, getting 17th, and also Bristol Rovers, who did get relegated last season, finishing 14th. That's pretty disappointing from their side. Anyway, let's go to the Champions League. Into the round of 16, then Atletico Madrid beating Chelsea 3-2. Man City getting knocked out by FC Bayern. Real Madrid dispatched Benfica pretty easily, along with Arsenal 4-0 on each leg to give them 8-0 winners. Inter Milan getting a 5-1 two-legs victory over Villarreal. Napoli knocking out Barcelona in the round of 16 4-3 with a 1-0 win in the second phase. Tottenham beating PSG, that's pretty crazy. And then Liverpool beating Dortmund into the quarter-final. Bayern Munich knocked out Arsenal after Arsenal won the first leg, 3-2 on aggregate. Liverpool beating Inter Milan to get to the semi-final. Atletico Madrid beating Napoli 4-0 on aggregate. And then Real Madrid knocking out Tottenham Hotspur. On to the semi-finals then. Real Madrid knocking out Bayern 1-1 in the second leg to take a 3-1 lead into the final. And then a 3-1 victory, into the second game gave Liverpool a 4-2 victory to take a Real Madrid and Liverpool final. And as you can see at the top, Real Madrid beat Liverpool 2-1. Florian Wirtz getting 8 goals in the Champions League is pretty decent as well. Kylian Mbappe getting 8. And Mauro Icardi for Galatasaray getting 9. Into the Europa League then, Newcastle United ended up winning it. Sporting getting a 4-2 win over Roma despite losing the second leg. Monaco beating Porto to knock out the Portuguese side on penalties. Newcastle beating Nice 5-2 despite losing the second leg 2-1. Stuttgart lost the second leg as well, and they're going through 3-2. 0-0 in the second leg between Atalanta got them a 2-0 win over Wolfsberger. Freiburg lost again. Ended up going a 2-1 loss, but took a 4-2 into the next round. Bayer Leverkusen did pretty well in this one, going through a 4-3 over Lyon, and then Olympique Marseille knocking out Feyenoord 4-2. Into the round of 16, Newcastle beat Real Betis. Crystal Palace's European dream is over. 2-1 defeat in the second game and a 4-2 on aggregate. Monaco knocking out Bologna 2-1 on aggregate. Freiburg edged out Ajax in a 4-4 aggregate after a 4-1 defeat in the second leg. They're not going to be happy about that. Bayer Leverkusen did get knocked out to Lille with a 3-1 defeat over the two legs. Ended up just being that second game. Olympique Marseille 3-1 against Celta Vigo. Stuttgart beating RB Salzburg 3-1 to get to round of 16 in the Europa League for Salzburg is pretty decent. And Atalanta knocking out Aston Villa despite losing the second leg on penalties. Into the quarterfinal, Monaco lost to Atalanta. Freiburg knocking out Stuttgart. Newcastle edging out Sporting on penalties. And Lille knocking out Marseille. Into the semis then, Lille and 2-0 over Freiburg, and a 6-1 dispatching of Atalanta by Newcastle to get them into the final. And then a 3-1 victory for Newcastle took them a 3-1 victory against Lille. Into the Europa Conference League in the playoff round. I'll knock a lot of those out. Looks like Celtic did pretty good. No other English teams in that round that I can remember. Nottingham Forest doing pretty well in the Europa Conference League, 4-3 over Olympiacos to get them into the quarterfinals, along with Celtic over FC Utrecht. Into the quarterfinal as well, 6-2 over Servette. Nottingham Forest into the semi-finals of the Europa Conference League. Celtic as well after a penalty victory over PAOK. Into the semi-final as well, Fiorentina knockout Nottingham Forest, unfortunately, on penalties, and Celtic winning 4-1 against Antwerp. And then into the final, Celtic against Fiorentina, and Fiorentina edged that 2-1. Looking at the manager movements as well, David Moyes was sacked, replaced by Patrick Vieira. Sunderland sacked their manager as well, bringing Sean Dyche back to the Premier League. Oliver Glasner's eventual replacement was Fisher. Wolves one we already talked about. And then Ruben Amorim was sacked, unconfirmed. I haven't really seen that before. Couple of big transfers done. Rafael Leao going from AC Milan to Manchester City for a combined 156 million. Eric Martel going from Cologne to Newcastle for 62. Zubamendi, one we talked about earlier. Tammy Abraham to Arsenal for 45. And then a couple of others. Ones, not going to go through every single one. Tom Fellows going from West Brom to Everton for 18.75 million. And Felipe Coutinho going from Aston Villa to Wolves. Anyway, that is the final league table and final bit for this episode. Looks like this is how the Football Manager predicts the 25-26 preseason to go. It is updated, not quite updated dates, but it is about as close as you can get to it at the time of recording. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.